Hello, all. Great to have you all online today. As I promised you on LinkedIn, that I'll be starting a series of webinars and interviews with Newcomers to Canada experts. And this was instigated when I got a lot of requests from other newcomers what they should do in while they are at home. So I thought of starting this series, and I have a lot of great people in my network that I thought of mobilizing and using this platform, social media as a platform, to get the resources and advices across. Again, thanks to my great experts who are taking out their time voluntarily for this initiative. So my first guest in this interview is a very dear friend. She has been always there whenever I needed her support as a mentor and even to guide other newcomers. So I welcome Taranum Khan. She professionally, she is a consultant around career education and newcomer settlement. She has done plethora of work, and she has a lot of laurels around her in these three specific areas: career education and newcomer settlement. She has served newcomer settlement agents in an organization earlier, and now she's associated with a local organization around diversity, inclusion, and equity. And she's a great advocate for newcomer. She has been mentor for a lot of them who are successfully doing good in their own fields, and she does a lot of volunteering for newcomer segment as well. So welcome, Taranum, to this interview.
Thank you so much, Khatija. That's a privilege and an honor. Oh my God, how am I supposed to live up to that kind of an introduction?
Well, you
I do feel humbled. Thank you so much for having me as your guest. And I must say, the amount of work you do and the amount of efforts you put in itself is an accomplishment from balancing home and work and all the other stuff that you do around supporting newcomers and creating content. I really commend you for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's without further ado get into the questions which the audience, newcomer audience, have been might be having in their minds. We'll be touching base on three areas. Basically, the first is the job search. The second one is online networking, and third one, a little advice to newcomers in this uncertain time. So let's come to job search. So one of my my audience, her name is Khushbu. She sent this question, and she's asking specifically during this current time, she is customizing her resume. And she is saying that when my resume speaks to a job description through this customization, still I'm not getting shortlisted. What can be my shortcomings? So she's requiring advice around that area.
Very valid point, and a lot of job seekers have this concern that we are doing our best in customizing and still do not hear back. There could be n amount of reasons, starting from first, do you meet the criteria? Because in terms of identifying the key needs of the employer and the key words that define what a job seeker needs to have, are you doing a match? And generally speaking, I tell people there's a 60-40 ratio. Scan the job posting thoroughly, find the keywords. If you are more than a 60% match to the tasks that are expected off of you, whether it's the work that's involved, whether it's the education and experience background, that's the only time you want to take a dig at that opportunity. If you are not ensuring that you are a good fit and you are spending time on creating a resume and writing a cover letter, it's a wasted opportunity. There's no point, because always remember, the employer needs the best person for that particular job that they need to fill. And in doing so, when they're going through the resumes, they're going to look for the most suitable fit. So if you do match the qualifications in terms of your education, your experience, your skill sets, that's the only point you want to approach that opportunity. That's the first. The second part, are you doing your due diligence in making sure that your responses speak to the job posting in hand, which could be do not just tell them what you have. Tell them, how did you do the job, or how were you successful? How did you make certain achievements out of your ordinary day to day? Because if you just put the sentences as is, where you're defining tasks, the resume does not stand out. So that would be my second. The third is the overall appearance of the resume. Are you meeting the Canadian standards of what a resume needs to look like? And for that, I constantly say, I myself would, as a newcomer, when I was exploring, I was making the same mistakes not very long ago, which was around 8 to 9 years back. When I came, I had a 14-page resume. Hell, when people, like, my family laughed. They were like, what, are you writing a thesis or something here? So I had to relearn and unlearn certain things that I was used to. So be mindful of what are the Canadian standards, what are the expectations, the neatness, the sharpness of the presentation. At this point, I would have said, go to the community centers and meet with employment counselors that can help you. But as of now, the situation demands that you stay home. So I would say, go and look at online reference guides. Career Professionals of Canada has resources online, certain ebooks. Even, in fact, I have contributed to an ebook last year, and these resources are free. So make use of this. And if you feel that you need more help, I would totally even look at identifying a certain coach that can help you walk through it. So it's up to you what your need, and finding the most suitable fit.
Okay, great.
I hope that answers. And the last thing I would say is, I have a podcast on Max List. It's the link is in my LinkedIn
I can post
profile.
it. Yeah, I
So
can.
if you could listen to it and see if you're making the right connection with your resume.
I'll take the link and I'll post it with when I'm posting this video.
All the best, Khushbu.
Yeah, great. Khushbu, I hope it kind of gives you a direction. Otherwise, you're welcome. I'll be posting Taranum links as well. She do post free content, a lot of free content, and I'm sure you can get a lot of guidance from her content too. So my second question, Taranum, is basically in current scenario, a lot of job seekers, not only newcomers, but a lot of job seekers are having this question: should they continue their job search? They are hearing a lot of left, right, and center that there are no jobs, there are job cuts, there are layoffs. So my next question to you is, what mindset or what things newcomer job seekers should keep in mind is this the right time to continue with their job search? What is your opinion on that?
First of all, always remember, change is the only constant. And there is no reason to stop your job search at any given point in time. Even when you have a job, leave alone people who are new to the country, leave alone people who have steady opportunities. I would say each and every person needs to constantly evolve and learn and be in that job search mode, because that keeps you motivated, first of all, to learn new things. Second of all, it is important to use the time wisely. Now, there are job cuts happening in one sector, but it's not going to stay like that forever. Things will change, and the economy will change, and things will go back to normal. I mean, the world is not coming to an end. Come on. We've lived through so many things in time, and over situations evolve. So absolutely be in that mode at all times. Remember, Canada, we all know it's a very precarious job market. You can have an opportunity one day, and you might think that it's a steady opportunity. Next day, things change, and it might not have anything to do with you per se, where your skills are fine, but the employer does not have the money to pay you. So what can happen? therefore, it's very, very important to constantly stay in that mode where you're constantly learning and doing your research. So to give you an example, this is how I am as a person. I believe in learning all the time.
Mm.
I don't know if you saw my post from last night. I was like around midnight. Uh, it I did a post around learning web designing. Now, I am not by no means a techie. There's like, I studied literature all my life. And then from there, evolved into administration and management. And then from there, my forte became career strategy. But I constantly dabble in different forms of skills. So over the weekend, when I had a little time, I sat through and self-taught myself how to do web design. And it is a free resource. If you go in your Google suite, you have Blogger. So I created the whole uh, website for myself, did a blog post, which I had been postponing for I don't know how long, because in my day-to-day, I don't have the time. I have a full-time job and a pretty demanding job at that, where I stay busy. So I did that. And it's one of those things. As far as the newcomers go and the job search piece goes, um, this is the time you want to use for research. Go on to companies' websites, go on and look what kind of products and services they have. Maybe you can wrap your hand around a solution given the situation now, and reach out to a manager and say, hey, I noticed you have such and such products and services, and I'm looking at the scenario. Given the scenario now, these are a few things that might help. You don't know what can come out of that opportunity. So be on the go, constantly be on your feet. There is no time you ever stop your job search process.
True, great advice that you are always on a job search mode. Even if you in these uncertain times, you can use this to learn, to upscale, to learn more about the companies and the products. So great advice there. My next question to you is, again, keeping the expectations the expectation scenario in mind. Newcomers have a lot to keep up expectations. Here, technically, like if they are coming with their wife and their children, there are expectations from them. There are expectations from family back home, that you have taken this leap of letting go of a settled life, coming to a new land, and now here they have taken that leap. They are here, and again they are in a very uncertain situation in a new land. So it's a double pressure for them. So keeping with that mindset, what advice would you give to newcomers in these unprecedented time, which would really be a booster for them?
Well, I completely hear you on that, Khadija. The expectations piece is huge. And if I'm talking about the community, especially the Asian, South Asian communities, the bar goes up a notch even higher. Um, I would say, you have to go easy on yourself.
Mhm.
Start with managing your own expectations, because there's no limit to what you can expect off of you. And everybody else is already expecting so much. Why do you need to put
Mhm.
your own expectations on top of that?
Mhm.
I did that mistake. And again,
Mhm.
I'll take back. I like to draw from my own experiences, because
Mhm.
that's the best I know.
Mhm.
I ended up getting sick, actually, in my initial days, just because I was like, I really wanted to have a job, like rest.
Mhm.
And then um, my husband had to weigh in and said, hey, you take it easy. What's going on? It's
Mhm.
we've made a transition. Give yourself time. Give yourself, even if it's, and this is the analogy I've used multiple times, but this is my favorite one. It's like a plant. Imagine a fully grown plant when it's taken out of soil and replanted somewhere else. It takes a while for it to acclimatize to the soil, to the environment, to the air, the water. Everything is different. You are the same. And again, if it's a small sapling, it happens faster. The transition is smoother. You're able to bounce back faster, and that's with the kids. But you're a fully grown person, just like that fully grown plant. Give yourself time. Give yourself time to first get to know the place, because it's two ways. Imagine somebody coming from here and landing in another part of the world. They also take that time to understand that local, to understand the way, let's say, the transportation system works, the healthcare system works. It's completely different from one place to the other. Even if you're going from, as our neighbors down south, which is US, even if you're coming from there to here, things are different. Same thing. You have to give yourself time to understand how things work. Once you develop a little more familiarity with what are the expectations of the community, of people, of a workplace, of my surroundings, my neighbors. Like, I'll give you an example. We walk out on a street. Some cultures, you don't engage. You just do mind your own business and you go on and do what you're supposed to do. On the contrary, when you step outside in Canada, if your neighbor is out there, you do say hi. Even if you don't know them, you will say hi, you'll wave at them, smile, and wish them well, and then go on. So the cultures are different. Try to take the time to understand the cultural nuances. Start from there. So bring down your own expectations in, oh, I have to get a job quickly, I have to put food on the table. You have been earning all your life. I'm sure people who come here, most people come under the skilled category. And as a skilled person, you have been earning all your life. You have some savings. So take the time to reinvest those savings into your own health, your own learning, and step forward from there, instead of getting anxious and nervous and frustrated. Take the time to take one step at a time, be calm and contained. That would definitely help you better with whether it comes to networking or job search, or being at peace with yourself.
True, true. Whatever goals you might have now,
Yeah.
I could completely agree with you, Taranum, there, because recently I was studying somewhere. In current situation, you can't do anything what's happening externally. What's under your control is your own expectations, your own actions, your own.
Absolutely.
So whatever you can do as a precautionary measure to stay safe, only you can do that, and whatever can you do. So yes, so I completely agree with you. Take this time to step back and rethink, and don't have too much pressure on you that you have to. Yeah. So my last question, basically, which can elaborate, which can be, you can give a lot of tips around that. It's coming from where you just said that it's a good time for you to start building, growing, and nurture and knowing people around you. So while newcomers are at home, how they can use online networking, what resources, how they can get started on online networking, and how they can grow and then nurture it.
Khadija, you've really asked me a very good question, I must say, because this is something that I've spoken to on multiple times, but again, we cannot say it enough number of times when it comes to the newcomer piece. When people are reaching out, and I really want to focus on when people are reaching out as newcomers, whether they are here in Canada or whether they are preparing to land in Canada, because I get a lot of those requests. My biggest issue with it is they reach out to you. First of all, they will not explain why they're reaching out to you. And this happens mostly on LinkedIn. When the message is not there, chances are you are going to not be accepted. That's the first thing. So when you're networking specifically on LinkedIn, or for that matter, anywhere else, make sure you're letting the person know why are you reaching out to them, how did you find them, and what is your expectation. That is the first step, which most people miss. Now, let's say they did do that step. The second thing is the way you word your conversation, the messaging. The messages that come are, the minute I accept it, the next thing is, oh, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me? Or how can you help me? Or can you guide me? Well, you did not take the time to know what I do. Did you take the time to know whether I do this or not at all? First of all, find out. I do not accept clients. I do not take one-on-one appointments. Um, I never did that in my previous positions because that would have been a conflict of interest. As a person, I do a lot of mentoring, I do a lot of coaching, I do provide information, but it's always voluntarily. I will do these appointments, I give coaching, I provide whatever resources I know, and then I will make a referral either to a nonprofit community center, or if the person needs a specific kind of guidance, then I will redirect them to that opportunity. So that piece is missing most often in their conversation. They do not identify, first of all, why they're reaching out to me. And then it's, um, how do I put it? I want to put it softly because sometimes it comes across as if they're entitled. Like the ask is not a question, it's a statement. So please take the time to ask the person, are you available? First of all, I do have work, I get paid from my workplace, I cannot use that time to be doing other things. So ask the person, are they available? And if they say yes, then take the next step and ask, what is your availability for a phone conversation or online chat or whatever have you. Once that happens, then you take the next step. The second thing they will do is they will attach their resume and say, hey, here's my resume. Either they are asking me for a feedback or a job. Well, I don't have jobs. And that is true for most people. You reach out even to a manager of a certain organization and you tell them, this is my resume. Can you hire me? The answer is going to be no, because there's a process to everything. And organizations hire through screening. So always remember, do not send your resume. Do not just feel that, oh, I'm going to send them this message and they're supposed to respond to me with that piece of advice. What advice can you expect in one message after knowing the person for just a little while?
And also, we don't know how many messages you have. Probably you have thousands of messages. So
on a daily basis, I get over 50 to 100 messages. How am I supposed to keep up with that? If I started writing to each one person back, imagine how many messages am I supposed to? And where do you have that kind of time? I do have a family.
Sure. And I think so. This is leading me to another thought. Like, if they want to stand out, they need to invest. They need to know you. And I think so with LinkedIn, it's so easy to create a conversation through commenting, through the post that you are creating. Keep that to and fro of conversation and communication going. And I think so that will make them stand out in front of you.
Yeah, that has happened so many times. I have some now they are almost friends. There are so many people who reached out to me professionally, and then I responded to them, and it was a conversation. It wasn't an ask. It was a conversation about certain activities that I had done in the past, and they picked up on that and they reached out to me saying, hey, I really enjoyed such and such post. It was really nice reading it, or it was really nice listening to your podcast. And then you feel that, no, this person has time to get to know me. Let me respond and say more and thank them. That is the time that reciprocity piece comes in. And I have to. So for an example, you yourself, anytime. We've known each other for so long. I believe more than 3 years now.
Since 2017.
17,
and
right?
Yeah.
And look at you. Whenever you have reached out to me, it's always nice to hear from you. And you ask me what my availability looks like, and then I appreciate that, and I see that the time that you have taken to know what works for me, and then structuring the conversations around that. So same thing for me. When I am reaching out to people, I give them the space and the power to decide whether they have the time, and when they have the time to have a conversation. So it's very, very important that you do your due diligence and be mindful that other people have their own lives, they have their own works, they have their own schedules, and they're going to incorporate you and find the time for you within that time. So be mindful in the way you message your ask.
So
That would really, really help.
Yeah, so the first thing what I hear is customize the request that you send to the connection. So it can be anything from anything mutual interest that you have or anything that you are interested in learning. But again, investing time in the content that they have already created and customizing it according which might appeal to the person. And the second thing I hear from you, develop some time in creating relationship with that to and fro of conversation. And it's so easy on LinkedIn. You can just go to the post and you just leave a comment, they will reply back and the conversation can go on. So I think so, just like in a normal circumstances, we don't let stranger come into our house just like that unless we trust them. So once with that to and fro of communication is done, you kind of create that trust relationship, and the reader knows that you are reading his or her content, so they will also remember you, that you are a constant follower.
That's right.
So I think so that would be a great piece of advice for the newcomers who can leverage LinkedIn or any other medium. I think so LinkedIn is great if you're looking for professional networking. So try to customize your resume, follow people's content, keep the conversation going, and you have to give 3 or 4 times more before you go for an ask, even for a simple ask, as you said, for a simple advice or like on a Zoom call for a meetup, because we can't do it in person. So I think so that is a great piece of advice from you, that become not a stranger, but a person, a follower, a valued follower who has been following you, who knows you. Now, can I have an ask? So great advice around that.
Just have a relationship before you go in for the kill, is all I'm saying. Like, okay. And people will give freely. I can tell you, by far, I've had such great experience. If you go and reach out to people and you have a relationship with them, they will give you, they will offer. They're so giving. This community, I love about Canadians. They are giving. And but take the time to build a relationship. That is a minimum. We are human beings. Don't, everything does not have to be business.
And I think so, like nobody has to take anything personal. I feel if nobody is replying you back, nobody has to take it personally, because we need to understand that every individual has his own life, his own obligations, his own commitments, and specifically in today's time, they have to take care of all of that.
Great point, Khatija. Again, this is another thing that I keep telling people is sometimes when we send out messages, and as I said, most people who are juggling too many hats can have multiple messages coming in through the day, and with their work and their family and their life and whatever they're doing, they might miss it. So be understanding. If you've not heard back, it is okay for you to follow up. So follow the 3, 3, and 10-day rule. So first message, when you send out a message and you've not heard back, take the time to follow up in 3 days. If you do not hear back still, then take another follow-up request after 3 days again, reminding the person. Maybe you might have to change the way you send the request. So if it was a LinkedIn message, maybe you want to try elsewhere, maybe an email after the 2 times, and then give it another 10 days, wait for another 10 days, and then follow up again after 10 days. Life can be at a different stage for that person. So be forgiving, because yes, people who give freely and openly and all the time, they too have certain situations going on with them. We don't know. It looks good and dandy for everyone. I must say that. But there are times then when like all of us, we are all
Yeah.
human beings. There are ups and downs, there are
Down.
varying priorities,
Mm.
there is health, there is
Mm.
family, there is work, there's just so much going on. So
Yeah.
give the person the time to respond to you, and if they've not done that, follow up.
Yeah, and I think so, Taranam, with your 3-3-10 rule, even despite that you haven't heard, you should not take that personally. Bring yourself down. You should keep on moving.
Yes.
You should approach new set of people who might be a target audience, which can
Yeah.
help you in your job search or your online networking. You can keep on going with new sets of people. You never know
Yeah.
from where you hear. So yes, you
Oh,
should.
absolutely. And again, there is not just one person, there's thousands of people online, right?
Hmm.
So make connections with multiple people. You don't have to target on just one person.
Yes.
The rule is for that one person. You've sent that message, wait for them, keep a track sheet of how people have come back to you, and then you can follow up with that single person. But don't limit yourself.
Hmm.
Again, it's a very valid point. Don't limit yourself to just that one
One
person
person.
when you're doing your job search. Reach out to multiple people. You don't know.
Yeah.
And again, that's another thing. Jobs are in people. So once you have built those relationships, and the more people that know what you're capable of, what your value proposition is, the chances of you getting opportunities is higher.
Yeah.
So again, not only just that, reaching out to people is one thing. The other thing that you can do is you can start contributing.
Hmm.
You can start sharing yourself, whatever social media you are using, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, or Pinterest, whichever you're using.
Hmm.
You can be giving as well. And any opportunities, any information,
Hmm.
any resources
Hmm.
that you feel
Hmm.
is useful for others,
Hmm.
go ahead and share that. Because once you start doing that, you
Hmm.
will be the one that people will look up to.
Hmm.
And you can be the role model as well. It doesn't, I mean, there is no set rules to
Hmm.
giving. Anybody
Hmm.
can give, everybody can give.
True.
And honestly, I am, I'm actually starting a series of interviews with certain experts, but I'm also connecting with people who I have known,
Hmm.
who give constantly and are deserving of the opportunity to be acknowledged. So I'm starting a series. You will start looking at certain interviews hopefully by next week.
Hmm.
I'm going to be using my weekends to do the recordings or evening hours, and then I'm going to start sharing those so that people can see how giving others are
Hmm.
and recognize. So you can do it. It's up
Yeah.
to you. Be
How you
think
do it?
outside the box
Yeah.
is what
True.
I'm saying.
True, true. So great for I think so for online networking. I'll quickly sum up. Try to customize your invite to any new connection. You should invest in relationship building by keeping that conversation or communication on, and you can easily do that by commenting, and over a period of time you can develop a relationship. And then
Yeah.
by giving a lot of value, then you can go for an ask again for a piece of information, not for a job. And the third thing I hear from you is that if you want to create a trust authority in whichever space you are, you can start creating content. By content, you can create any expert opinion that you have in current scenario and just post about it. You can
Yeah.
take an article and you can create a thoughtful insight that you have. It shows your trust authority in that space, and by creating post, you are showing the reader that you have knowledge in that space. So if, for example, you have created a relationship with a recruiter and he comes on your profile, he will see the post that you have created, that you have trust authority. So that will create another online brand perception for you.
Yeah.
So with all these amazing tips, thank you so much, Taranum, for your time and for your voluntarily accepting whenever I reach out to you. You have
Anytime
always
for you, Khadija. You are the best.
You have always been there. Thank you so much. And I will advise all of the viewers to start following Taranum as well. I will leave her LinkedIn and other social media platforms titles here when I post about this video. And you can follow her. She is an amazing resource. And further, she just said that she is starting her own series of interviews. You can further come to know of new names who can be a source of guidance through this online stay-at-home opportunity, which you can use to learn, unlearn, and network, online network for your online job search. So I'll stop this webinar here. Thank you so much, Taranum, and
Thank you so much, Khadija, for having me, and the very best to you and all our audience. Please stay safe, stay home. It's important for you, your family. Please don't take these, simple things in life for granted. It's important, very, very important, that today we stand together in making sure that our communities stay safe and the world stays safe. So be well, stay well.
Yeah, just concluding on what she said, stay connected through online world,
Yes.
Disconnect to connect online, because that's the way,
Absolutely.
that's the way for the community good right now. Stay safe and wash your hands.
Yes, wash your hands.
Okay, bye everyone. Bye.